Hello, my spooky darlings, and welcome to Streams and Screams, the online show thing in which I watch a film that is currently streaming online that I liked and I tell you about it. Today, I'm going to be talking about a film that is newly released to Shudder, which is something I'm always excited to talk about, and this is a film called Infested. Now, there's a couple reasons I'm excited to talk about this film today. First off, spooters. Heck no. If you've watched our 90s Night episode on arachnophobia, this is very much in the vein of that type of film. However, there is a much kind of gnarlier edge to it. That brings me to my second point. The reason I'm super excited about this film is because this is sort of the feature film debut of director Sébastien Vanicek, who is a French director. This film is French, that is slated to be the next director in line for the next entry in the Evil Dead franchise. And I personally am super stoked on that because I absolutely love the Evil Dead. It is my favorite franchise. I've got my Spanish Army of Darkness poster up top, and yeah, absolutely love me some Evil Dead. We have talked about Evil Dead as well as a franchise on a Hot Stove from Hell episode. You can track that down on the YouTube channel somewhere below, wherever those links live. So, Infested. This is a super fun film in that it's actually really bleak, really dark and menacing and cruel and kind of gnarly. And I think that is a reason that I'm very excited to see his entry to the Evil Dead franchise. I'm mostly going to be talking about that in this episode, so sorry. But Infested follows a young man who gets his hands on a rare spider that he brings back to his apartment where he has a collection of exotic animals. The spider gets loose and lays some eggs, and there's a lot more spiders. An infestation happens, and these spiders are extremely toxic, extremely poisonous, venomous, whatever word you want to use. Their bite is not good, and also there's a fun little twist every single time that there is a new iteration of one of these spiders, a new brood, shall we say. They get a little bit bigger in size because that's something that these spiders can do, apparently, to combat predators. I'm going with it. As a film, it's not perfect. It does have a couple moments where I understand that they kind of forego some logic in favor of furthering the plot, furthering the story, furthering the action, let's say. A couple things where they're good ideas, but they're not really thoroughly explained. Okay, so time out. I'm editing right now, but I got a little bit hung up on something. So yes, there's a couple things that are just kind of thrown in there suddenly that are great ideas, but don't really make a ton of sense. Like suddenly there is a sensitivity to light for these spiders, which is fine. That's okay. I'll go along with it. But the thing that I got really caught up on is how fast these spiders reproduce, because this is all happening within a matter of like hours. And there's so many of them. There's absolutely so many of them. So I don't know generally what the reproductive cycle is of spiders. That's not an area of expertise for me, but it's just something I really have been thinking about. So anyways, continue on. Back to me. But those little hiccups aside, I think that this is a really exciting film. It's very high energy. It's very fast paced once everything kind of starts popping off, and you don't really get a moment of letdown from there. There's some really spectacularly scary moments in here. As someone that is not super fond of spiders, I was physically uncomfortable through the majority of this film. I could feel my skin crawl, which is uncomfortable, but means it's effective. So good on them, because that's, the script does leave a little bit to be filled in. However, one thing I will say is, for all its little inconsistencies and weird, complete obliviousness to some forms of logic that would help in certain situations, the thing that I really did appreciate about this film, that I'm very excited about for him tackling the Evil Dead franchise, is that he does have this excellent way of creating characters that have an emotional background and weight and connection. And the characters in this film are all very intertwined. They all have very complicated backgrounds, and they all care about each other in different levels, in different ways. Some of them hate each other, and then we figure out why they hate each other, and then there's others that just hate each other, and it's very dramatic. But all that is to say that throughout the film, every time there's a character beat, every time there is a bit of plot that is furthered by a character choice, a character direction, a character change, it works. It works for the film. And so to see that kind of being pulled into the Evil Dead franchise, which is a franchise that really preys on those types of connections, as we saw with Evil Dead Rise, this type of familial connection, the relationships between Ash and his friends and his girlfriend. So Sébastien Vanicek is able to create this web, pardon the pun, of connection between his characters. I'm very excited to see what he does with Evil Dead, because I think that will be exciting. And also seeing where he goes with some of the more aggressive parts of this film, some more violent parts of this film. Like Fede Alvarez, I'm very excited to see what happens when he gets unleashed with some Deadites, because that is a franchise that allows you to have some fun. And if you can really create these terrifying body horror beats and terrifying, scary spider beats, I'm very excited to see what he does with some Deadites. So yeah, Infested is now streaming on Shudder. You can check it out there. I think if I were to pair something with this film, I would pair either Arachnophobia, because topical, or I actually think I would go with Evil Dead Rise, because I do think they hit a lot of similar story beats, because it is set in this apartment building, this high-rise building that is kind of in a neglected area of France where they are. Things are going wrong and they're trying to help their neighbors, but can they help their neighbors, and should they help their neighbors, and what's going on with the neighbors, and also what's going on in the building, because there's a lot of shit happening and they just need to get the hell out of there really, really fast. It actually follows a lot similar story beats, just in terms of like getting from point A to point B. So food for thought. So if you want to watch Infested, you can find it on Shudder currently, or if you want to watch the trailer, you can do so right here, right now.
Oh, c'est quoi tout ça, Ali, là?
Quoi, ça t'intéresse les bestioles?
Oh, mais ça m'intéresse à mort.
Fais gaffe quand même, hein.
T'inquiète, je te dis, moi je suis un pro. Je te ramène à la maison. Let's go.
Comment t'as fait pour pécho ça?
Toi, tu kiffes dormir avec ça dans ta chambre.
Non mais tu sais qui leur parle?
Pas sérieux.
Je te promets, meuf.
Théo, tu te caches, Théo. Tu te fous de ma gueule.
Il a fait un malaise, c'est ça?
Ta gueule, c'était pas un malaise ça.
Un truc qui tue aussi rapidement, c'est impossible, non?
Ce qu'il avait au bras là, ça vient pas d'une seringue.
Si ça vient pas d'une seringue, ça vient de quoi alors?
Chaud.